Okay, UConn back from a long layoff here from the holidays, and they kick off 2025 on New Year's Day with a game against, I guess, a much improved DePaul team. So join us to talk DePaul. We got our friends from the DePaud. So thanks so much for hopping on.
How's it going, Jared? Thanks for having me. I appreciate you taking the time as always.
Yeah, no, excited to have you on because I feel like we get to talk about DePaul in a different light this year than we have in the past when you've been on. Because to start this season, DePaul's gotten off to, I mean, maybe you know this, its best start in, I can't remember how many years it's been since DePaul's gotten off to a start like they have this year.
Yeah, it's been 2019 they had a good run. The first year of Tony Stubblefield, they had a good start in non-con. This year, obviously, with Chris Holtman coming in and an entirely new team of players, uh, it's been good relative to the competition that they're facing. But you play the people that are in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't downgrade that. They didn't lose a bye game in non-con versus some of the other teams in the Big East.
Yeah.
Now their strength of schedule is lower significantly than most. However, you want a team with 13 new players, an entirely new coaching staff absent Paris Parham.
Yeah.
Um, you want a new team to get comfortable. I think there could have been, a couple more opportunities for a little bit more tougher opponents, but you saw how they performed against those tougher opponents, and they have a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
Uh, that said, they lost a very winnable game to Providence. They lost a tough one to St. John's in the Big East. I think St. John's was a matchup problem. The
Hmm.
Providence game was a was more of a, hey, this is new territory for us. I I love the Yukon fans, most of them. There's some that I can't stand. Sorry. But the reality is I think that Yukon could potentially be a decent matchup for DePaul.
Yeah. When you look at this DePaul team in the non-conference, what kind of impressed you most when you look at the games they were able to win, uh, early on in the season?
Yeah, when they won, everything was clicking. Turnovers were a little high, I think a little higher than you wanted them to be. But most everything else was poetry in motion. Lots of nice assists. Absent the first game versus Indiana State,
Hmm.
or not Indiana State, Southern Indiana. Sorry. Absent that game, that was a little nail biter that went into overtime, which was the first game of the season. They steamrolled everyone,
Yeah.
everyone that they beat, rightfully, and they should have. 3-point shooting was there, assists, ball movement, everything you want to see. They played basketball versus last year's team, whatever that was. This team plays basketball. Even when they did, even in their losses, they
Yeah.
played pretty decent basketball. Absent the St. John's game where they were just outmatched. They were in the Northwestern game towards the end of the first half. They were in the Texas Tech game. I think they might have had an opportunity to be leading going into halftime for the Texas Tech game. They just need to put a full 40 minutes together against a high major opponent.
Yeah. When you look at you bringing in a whole new coaching staff here and having Chris Holtman lead the way, obviously a name I think most college basketball fans know of. What have been your thoughts early on what he's been able to do with this program? Maybe what's he been on the job, 6 or 7 months. So coming together relatively quickly, but kind of just some initial impressions.
Yeah, I mean, to start off under the gun, putting together a team of 13 players with some sort of cohesive thought in a short period of time that he did it in. I think he did it in less than a month, maybe 5 weeks, if that. And you get guys like Connor Enright, you get a Leighton Blocker, a very highly touted recruit out of high school who just didn't get the time at Arkansas. Um, and then you've got JJ Trainer too, who's this athletic wing, long, uh, could be a nice centerpiece. come, as this team builds.
Mhm.
The work that the coaching staff, Chris Holtman, his coaching staff that he put together, you've got guys like Brian Mullins, you've got Laval Jordan, you've got all these guys with this tremendous experience, and they put together a team that has a cohesive thought process to it. It's building for it's building for the future. It's building a presence of this is the kind of ball we want to play, and this is what you're going to expect from a DePaul team going forward. Hopefully, with a little bit more bolstered backcourt. Um, Not to knock, that's not a knock on the guys that we have right now. I think NJ Benson very well could be a Big East big man
Mhm.
to look at in the years to come. David Skogman, he's a great, he's got a great outside threat. He lets you spread the floor, and that's why I think, if you've got that 1-2 punch with Skogman and Benson, I think that, like I said before, this is a decent matchup for DePaul. Now, you got Dan Hurley, back-to-back national champion, on the other side of the court. You can't game plan for a coach, but he's there's a reason they're back-to-back national champions. So I can't. That's me saying that they're a good matchup for DePaul right now. Isn't it's not meant as an underhanded comment towards UConn. It's just the way the matchup works.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be not favorable, but it could be fairly balanced.
What, speaking of Dan Hurley and the game plan he's coming up with, given that this is a new DePaul team of guys, they really haven't seen before, as they've been sitting there looking at film, who do you think are the top kind of two guys here that him and his staff have been scouting for on this DePaul team?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got Connor Wren, right? He's the point guard extraordinaire. He's the one that makes everything go. I feel like he's that you go, we go type player. But he's not the scorer. He really is the facilitator.
Hmm.
He can score. He can definitely stroke it from three. Um, but I think he's more of the pass first point guard, and you're going to have to game plan for Layden Blocker and NJ Benson, and then also JJ Trainer. Like he's a matchup nightmare for some smaller guards, and if you could catch him on a switch and can like consistently get him open and taking high percentage shots or taking it to the hole, it could be a good outcome for DePaul.
When you look at this DePaul team in the games they've struggled, whether you want to look maybe second half Texas Tech, you look at St. John's, Providence to some extent, what have been the kind of stumbling blocks for this DePaul team that's tripped them up?
Yeah, so in those games, I think it was they were I think they're like top 10 in percentage of offense that comes from their three-point shooting. Three-point shooting, usually it's going to win you games. But I think that there was so much focus on three-point shooting that you were then getting run off the line. Um, like St. John's did an incredible job running this team off the 3-point line, and they didn't have an answer to go in the paint and
Hmm.
get points in the paint. So I think that's where that was a weakness for this team. Now they just played Loyola Maryland and had their worst three-point shooting game of the season. And I think they only shot like 25% maybe.
Hmm.
But they did a great job getting down into the paint, finding the open man down low, and making the extra pass to get an open high percentage dunk or
Hmm.
layup or short, off the glass type shot. So yeah, the definitely lacking in the paint points and all in the losses completely. But I think they're trying to scheme that now for this team. They're one thing the coaching staff I have to say is doing. They're trying to put the players in the best spot to succeed, and that's what you always want to see,
Yeah.
right? Like your team's weaknesses, It's how you answer and get them playing away from their weaknesses and making their weaknesses maybe somewhat of a strength, right? And that's one great thing I saw. There's adjustments, and I think that what Holtman has done there, and if you could get the 3-point shooting and some paint scoring
Yeah.
all in the same game, it could be a decent Big East showing for them in year one. Um, so yeah, I would say that paint.
Looking to add some local flavor to your lineup? Martin Rosals is the MVP of your game day spread and a slam dunk for any occasion. Proudly made in hard-hit New Britain, their famous kielbasa and hot dogs have been a fan favorite for over 96 years. You can find their products in grocery stores across the state or have them delivered directly to your home court, coast to coast, via martinrosal.com. Take your taste buds to the championship and go support a UConn fan-owned business. As a DePaul fan, what's kind of the matchup that keeps you up or worries you a bit as you think about this
It's always
game?
going to be Caravan, man. I mean, I know he's your
Yeah.
boy. Caravan is Caravan. I mean, he's done it. He was on the team last year. I think he was on the team the year before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So two
He
right,
played.
returning two-time champion. That's my nightmare. That's what keeps me up at night. That's incredible experience to be returning multiple years in college basketball in the years of the transfer portal where everyone's jumping ship no matter what. Um, yeah, he knows how Hurley wants to play. He knows what Hurley wants to do, and he's definitely, and you could see that as the season has gone on from Maui. Because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Maui, because now it's Maui erasure in the national media. You got to forget about Maui. UConn's back fully, right?
Oh, there you
Um,
go. I'll let you get a shot in there.
yeah, 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 I got to. But the reality is, Alex Caravan. I mean, he's not Jackson or some of the other guys that you guys had last year, or what's his name?
Cam
Klingon,
Spencer.
Cam Spencer
Yeah,
Klingon. Like, he's not them, but he's still a very, very good player.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, I think Alex Caravan, you got to show respect. You got to pay respect and kiss the ring, unfortunately. Kiss the rings, I should say. Gosh. Um, uh, there. But the reality is, I think that what UConn is missing this year down low, and no disrespect to the guys, because now they're going to have like some miraculously amazing performance, Klingon-esque, because I'm saying this, but like I think that that's a real weakness for the Yukon team, just looking, at your team as a whole, and I think that that's where we need to focus on taking advantage of those guys, getting those guys into foul trouble early and getting into your reserves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the foul trouble is probably the biggest weakness for that group there, but Samson and Terrace seem to be on the upswing here, so we'll see what we
Yeah,
get.
yeah. No, I mean, like I said, it's still UConn, still two-time returning defending champions. But and Samson was on that team too last
Yeah.
year, so he's got the pedigree. He's just gotta, you know, I think he's just gotta and Hurley's getting him there, which is credit to him. So I
I,
shouldn't be saying credit to the like one of the best coaches in the modern basketball era, but whatever, it is what it is.
they'll take it. I want to just kind of pick your brain a little bit on what the mindset of the DePaul fan base is like. Come Wednesday at I think it's 2 o'clock Eastern time here when they play. Is this arena going to be empty or are the fans starting to show up again now that this team is starting to pick it up?
Well, I think you'll be pleasantly. Well, I think DePaul fans. Here's the deal: it's Chicago. It's not you know uh, Dairy Country, Connecticut, uh, and that's the only game in town. So that's always going to be a fight with DePaul. You're always going to have to get get. You're always going to have to prove it at this point. You're
Hmm.
you're not working off the 70s and 80s like you were before, where DePaul was a national brand. You could get back there conceivably, but it's going to be an uphill battle. You're going to have some years of success. I was at the Loyola Maryland game. I was pleasantly surprised with the showing of fans there. And that wasn't that was this past weekend, Saturday, an off hour. College football's on, Um,
Yeah.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised for a New Year's Day game. I still think that there'll be, some seats empty, unfortunately, but you win a game like this. I think it would be different if we're talking an upset versus Northwestern or an upset versus Texas Tech or
Yeah.
something like that, or a win versus Providence. You might get a little bit more excitement. I think there's a lot of fans that are in a wait and see mode, unfortunately. I implore them, I hope they're listening to this. I implore them to get out to the games because you'll see the difference in the product on the floor.
Mhm.
Um, I know that we've got a lot of UConn fans that watch some DePaul games
Oh,
with
yeah.
with Hurley Mania and hot balls, and um, I know they see the difference. I think that what we're dealing with from a DePaul fan perspective is um, guys just want to win now,
Yeah.
and they see people turning it around year one, and I implore them to just get out and give it a shot because this team is different. The way they're playing basketball is different than previous rebuilds with Oliver Purnell and
Yeah.
Dave Lato 2.0. It's just a completely different rebuild. It really is, and there's a lot of goodwill coming, and there's a lot of positives for
Yeah.
DePaul coming up here with the new practice facility and everything like that. So, I would say, you'll be surprised, but it'll still be pretty. I think it'll still be at least the upper section will be fairly empty. At least the lower bowl should be decently filled.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I mean, you gotta
Progress.
as you're rebuilding a program, gotta take some small steps and get there. I mean, for me, just as an outsider taking a look at this DePaul team, they had those bigger losses to Texas Tech, in the in Northwestern in the non-conference, but they turn around. I know Wichita State isn't anything to write home about, but I mean, they kind of wiped the floor with that Wichita State team. And if you're
Yeah.
looking to see progress from a team that's trying to find itself, to me, that's something I take away and say, like, hey, this team showed, from what, 2.5 weeks ago when it played some of that, higher level, non-conference competition. Hey, Wichita State's not, Indiana, Southern Illinois, or whoever it was,
Yeah, yeah, Southern Indiana. Yeah,
Southern, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Wichita State is a good team. They're not the team that they were a year or two ago, whatever it
yeah,
was that got to the tourney. But they're that was a good win. That was a good uh, you got to hang your hat on it.
yeah,
And regardless, you're playing like I said coming in. You're playing the teams in front of you, and you can't apologize for winning ever.
yeah. No, take the wins however you can.
Absolutely. And you beat who you were supposed to beat. And for a DePaul program that is rebuilding, you can't ask for anything more at this
Yeah,
point.
no,
I mean, you can, but
don't get greedy. Don't get greedy.
yeah, right. And we'll get there. I honestly feel that with Holtman and Mullins and Jordan, they're all get it. They get
Yeah,
basketball. They're basketball minds. They're junkies. They're basketball junkies, and that's a good thing to have.
for sure.
And it's just taking the next step. This is the first step. You
Yeah,
can't. Rome wasn't built in a day, despite people wanting it to be.
yeah, no, and I mean, for a guy like Chris Holtman to take the DePaul job, he obviously had to see something in it that he thought he could build and bring to a level to be competitive in the Big East. So, I mean, if I'm a fan, that's given me some confidence there alone.
100%. And Jared, let me be honest with you. And it's been overused at poor times, but DePaul really is a sleeping giant. I mean, a Final Four pedigree from the 70s, a lot of NBA talent outgoing from the program. Um, some really great teams in the 70s and 80s, and even in the mid 90s, yeah, Quentin Richardson. Like,
Mhm.
we had good teams. It's a sleeping giant, and you just have to have the resources, and they're finally getting the resources, but the resources are going to take time
To build. Yeah.
to build.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for what the future of DePaul basketball looks like because I think it's good for the Big
You
East as a
shouldn't be.
whole.
Well, you guys will be going to the Big 12 or something, so you can be, I guess.
Hey,
But
but even if we're in the Big East, we need this bottom of the league to be better. So we'll
yeah.
take them stepping up again.
Well, I mean, I'm
Not don't get
hoping
too good on us, but just
we're
get
not
enough.
going to be bottom of the league. You're going to be talking about Seton
Seton
Hall
Hall.
and Villanova. So, um, it is what it is. It'll be nice to get some Big East wins here. I think I set the bar. I'm sure you're going to get to this. I set the bar for DePaul this year around 6 Big East wins, and I hope they surpass it. But I
Yeah.
think 6 is very attainable in this season.
Yeah, no, with the state of league now, I wouldn't say that that's by any means out of the question.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'll wrap with this one. DePaul within single digits of UConn on Wednesday.
I Yes, because I've been talking privately. I've been talking up a New Year's Day miracle with other DePaul fans. Uh, I really do feel my confidence in this team to perform and to come out and hit someone in the mouth that isn't expecting it is
Mhm.
there. I know they're going to do it at some point this season. I hope it's New Year's Day. Start the new year, start 2025, taking down the two-time defending national champions. Uh, I love this team. I love where they're going. I love the culture they're building, and I have the utmost confidence that DePaul will be very competitive in this game.
All right. All right. Yeah. I
If
mean,
not winning, I don't want to guarantee any wins because I'm not at that point.
yeah.
But I do believe that this team can win this game.
All right. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, if there's a time to get UConn on the road after 10 days off on New Year's Day in the middle of the afternoon, uh, tends to give me a little bit of a scare, but I think
Yeah, well,
Coach Harley
that's
will
what
have
I'm.
these guys ready to go.
Well, you're always going to have your team ready to go when you're Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
But players are players,
Yeah.
and they could come out flat. I still want to beat them when they're making shots. So I'm not hoping for them to go down. I'm not hoping for anything catastrophic here. I'm hoping that DePaul comes out, is sharp from three, is getting some paint touches and getting some conversions on those paint touches, and then getting some of that defensive energy that NJ Benson showed in the last game and stopping Caravan at the rim and Johnson at the rim. And we're talking, come Thursday
Yeah.
morning, we're talking DePaul taking down the Giant.
All right. Well, I won't go as far as you, but
I know. You shouldn't. That's fair.
I do think you guys have the potential to be pesky, though. I will give
Yeah,
you that, which is something I haven't said about DePaul playing UConn in a while. So.
yeah, fair.
All
But
right. Well, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming on, and everyone check out the DePaud to stay up to date on DePaul. I know they've become like UConn Twitter's like pet team, but I wonder what happens when you guys do take that jump and become like a team that can actually hang. So
you're not gonna make many friends on DePaul Twitter calling us UConn's pet team, but I won't let that slide, Jared. I won't let that slide. But
you get a shot, and we're even now. We're good.
I will be getting Chick-fil-A beforehand to try to counteract your whole Chick-fil-A shtick.
All right. We'll see who Chick-fil-A wins out
All right. All right.
on
Sounds
Wednesday.
good.
All right. Well, thanks
Thanks,
again.
Jared,
Appreciate
again.
it.
Yeah.